Inside a modern AI data center, the first thing you notice is the sound. It is a low, constant roar of 10,000 cooling fans. Outside the building, it might be 30 degrees Celsius. Inside these halls, industrial systems keep the temperature strictly at 18, drawing more electricity than a small city just to stop hundreds of thousands of processors from melting down. This building is a single node in an infrastructure build-out, whose total capital commitment in 2026 reaches $660 billion. That is the largest single-year investment in any technology in history. It dwarfs the entire economic output of Switzerland. To understand what that capital is actually purchasing, you have to look past the software. That money buys miles of heavy copper wire, water-cooled concrete structures, and tens of thousands of $30,000 computation chips. And the entire system rests on a severe physical bottleneck. Producing the silicon that makes AI math possible relies almost entirely on the advanced manufacturing facilities of a single company in Taiwan. The global economy is attempting its most aggressive, resource-intensive reorganization of physical infrastructure, a shift far removed from the invisible world of code. Committing roughly 2% of the United States GDP to a single new technology in one calendar year looks exactly like a reckless, speculative bubble. But the CEO of JP Chase, Jamie Dimon, evaluated this capital cycle and concluded the opposite. He argues the spending is entirely rational. This chart shows the available cash and annual revenue of modern tech giants compared to the peak valuations of late 90s internet startups. The companies building AI today are among the most profitable enterprises in history. They are reinvesting actual massive cash flows rather than gambling with borrowed venture capital. The models are also running active commercial applications right now. They are actively generating real revenue by optimizing digital advertising, accelerating software development, and analyzing medical imaging. So the companies are highly profitable. The math checks out. The technology is commercially viable. Why then might they still be walking into a historically ruinous financial trap? Look back at 1869. The completion of the Transcontinental Railroad represents the only comparable infrastructure deployment in American history. The barons who funded the tracks were not fools. They laid the physical steel that unified the American market and enabled the agricultural expansion of the West. But the people who paid for that steel repeatedly lost their money in brutal bankruptcies. The speed of building the physical tracks far outpaced the economy's ability to actually use them. That mismatch triggered financial panics. The original investors were wiped out, and their physical infrastructure was scooped up for pennies on the dollar by the next wave of operators. New infrastructure creates massive long-term economic change, but it rarely rewards the pioneers on the timeline they budgeted for. In 1990, economic historian Paul David identified exactly why this happens. He called it the productivity paradox, based on the historical shift from steam engines to electricity. This 19th century factory relied on central steam engines turning belts, forcing buildings to be built vertically, crowding machines. Then the electric dynamo arrived, uncoupling machines, allowing for wide horizontal assembly lines and vastly superior spatial efficiency. Even with electric motors widely installed, national manufacturing productivity did not measurably accelerate for another 30 years. To capture the economic benefits of electricity, companies could not just plug in a motor. They tore down old vertical factories, rebuilt horizontal ones, retrained the workforce, and invented new management structures. The tech giants are spending $660 billion plugging a modern dynamo into corporate workflows designed for an older era. They have built the motor, but the factories have not yet been torn down. The economic data from 2026 indicates this diffusion lag is already happening. This chart illustrates recent Goldman Sachs analysis on productivity. The measurable economic impact from AI is entirely trapped within the technology sector itself. The broader productivity gains for the rest of the economy remain strictly anticipated. A data center can be planned, built, and powered in 12 months, but rewriting legal frameworks, altering human consumer habits, and restructuring corporate hierarchies requires decades of slow, difficult friction. If society takes 30 years to fully integrate this new infrastructure, The companies carrying the cost of these data centers face the exact same financial peril as the 19th century railroad barons. The major tech companies of today are writing the checks to construct the physical architecture of the next century, but the rest of the workforce will pay the grinding, decades-long cost of completely reorganizing society to actually live inside it.